Hi, hello, and welcome to yet another Expat. This is episode 46, and here we go. Berlin is in white, it's snowing, everything is covered. The government is asking drivers to be cautious. It's 0 degrees, but it feels like -10, and the cleaning services are on strike. So, underneath that beautiful snow probably lie a lot of trash rotting, but that's a problem for later. Snow brings good air quality. That's important. And puppy photos and walks. And you know what? I already have some people asking in the building chat channel that we have on Telegram because we are a cool building, I guess. They've been asking if anyone has a slate they can borrow to go downhill and have fun, which is a very nice way to start the weekend. In other intro news, the Duolingo owl is dead. I'm sorry. 2025 is relentless. The green owl from the language learning app is retired or dead. When you are young, they tell you that the puppies go to the puppy elderly home. And I remember we had a donkey in Ikaria, and when he died, he told us that he went swimming to the next island. So maybe that's something that happened to the green little owl. Some loved it, some hated it. It was definitely working with guilt tripping to try and get you back in those classes, get back in those lessons. Try to do the lesson of the day and say Frau Merkel ist Kanzlerin. That was what I had to say, amongst other things. I consider it as part of my integration in the country. I'm very scared what I would have to say in the current days or after the next elections. But in most countries, Duolingo just teaches you the basics. How to say that you need a glass of beer, how to say that you need a glass of wine, and how to ask from your aunt for a pink carrot or some other completely useless type of sentence. In any case, bye-bye Duolingo owl. You probably died waiting for me to do my lessons. On other things, the garlic press problems I expressed in the previous episode. Thanks for reaching out. I got some replies. One asked me, hey, did you realize that the garlic press is a problem in this decade of your life? And I have to say, fair point. I'm a late bloomer. I started taking life seriously after 30 when I got the blood results and my ALT cholesterol and transaminases had to climb up 3 times the Everest mountain. That's when I started cooking more. Before that, I had tried every single skepasti in eFood and Wolt. And if you don't know what skepasti is, you need to Google that right now. Skepast. It's like a souvlaki on top of a souvlaki, made into a club sandwich, made into a delicious joy. My mouth salivates when I say it. I had to try all of them to find the best one. And this is why I haven't used the garlic press. And this is why I check my cholesterol every 6 months. But I had to come to Germany, and this is where I missed actual cooked food. And this is where I started cooking my first dishes, my first fasolada. Thank you, Akis Petredzikis. A statue of him should be built in every city with Greek students. It was pointed out to me that there is an easier way getting the garlic inside the food than a garlic press. This is to use a small grinder and just grind it on there and then clean the tiny grinder much cleaner and better. I was wondering how many garlic presses are being sold, and I asked ChatGPT, and it was really bad at trying to get me an answer. It only said that there is significant growth in the garlic market. So garlic is taking over the world more and more because more people realize the awareness of the health benefits. ChatGPT said the world is eating much more garlic, so the garlic press market is probably thriving as well. I tried Perplexity, another AI, and it did much better. It really tried to tell me how many garlic presses are being sold worldwide. Yeah, maybe too specific for you to know, but the garlic market is 0.3 billion in 2022, and it rose to 0.45 billion by 2030. A great growth, 5.4% year over year. There is an increasing demand. It tried to get numbers that exist, and with those numbers, figure out how many garlic presses would be sold, which is a much more thorough answer than ChatGPT. So Perplexity is winning this round. However, my friends have said that it's not as bad as DeepSeek, which is hiding information about Tiananmen Square, and a lot of Chinese censorship is in there. Perplexity is also not so nice, especially around gender roles. I try to explore, but I trust my friends. So I still use it every now and then because it's better, but I don't like it. What else is happening in life? I had this question, and I'm too afraid to search this. I'm too afraid to ask any AI model about this because I know whatever the answer is, I'm in the wrong. So I will just ask you, my fellow ears and people, assuming you have a water bottle, how often do you wash it? And don't feel guilt that I'm asking right away. No one else is listening. It's just you. But when is the time to wash a water bottle? If you have a metal one, maybe from a company you work at, or a company you used to work, or a company that someone used to work and now somehow you have this. When is the time to wash it? Some people swear that those metal bottles just need a refill. Just keep refilling it until you hate yourself. I'm curious, what do you think? Tell me and I will not put your name out. How often do you wash your water bottle? The answer for me is not often enough. It does happen sometimes. There is a special tool to put in a bottle and wash it, but who wants to be using that? And is it really so bad? If all that's there is just water in, water out, can't you just rinse it? I think it would be good. You can take a microphone and go at your office and start asking everyone one by one, how often do you wash your water bottle? I think you will get answers from every day to never. And I don't know where you are in that spectrum, but I have zero judgment for wherever you are in that spectrum. We all deserve to wash our water bottles whenever we feel like it. I will jump into the number one topic of life, which is baby life. Baby life reporting, 3 to 4 weeks now, somewhere in there. And I have to say, my son is very disappointed that my boobs don't work. I need to explain him every time. We need to have that conversation every time. I am not the one with the good boobs. I keep telling him, mine have hair. I put him on my chest because that's good to do, skin on skin contact, lots of benefits. And he starts just looking around, disappointed. I try to speak to him with an overly manly voice, like, hello, son, this is dad. So he can differentiate between my voice and my partner's voice. And I say, I'm the dude with the deep voice. I'm the dude with the hair. I'm so sorry. These boobs have nothing for you. He keeps on trying. He puts his fingers around and he grabs my chest hair and he gets frustrated and he starts pulling my chest hair as a form of protest. I hold it together. I don't let the tears drop with the hair pulling. Boys don't cry and all that. You know, I have to teach him. I tell myself, pulling my chest hair is probably good, maybe from a sensory perspective. He gets to feel the hair in his hands, and that's helping his motor skills. And this is what I tell myself. And this is called positivity and optimism. So, this is the number one dialogue we need to keep having. He's always disappointed that I'm the one with the boobs that don't work. I hope he can get past it at some point and we can enjoy or hugging a bit more. This is the real world. You don't always get the good boob, and this is something that you need to learn to live by. So perhaps this is one of the first lessons he gets to have. And now let's talk a little bit about poop, because I'll try to make it interesting. If you don't like, you can skip ahead. Some people find poop disgusting and the whole process, but for me, it's all we got. Me and him, this is one of our bonding moments. With his mom, he has the boob, and then they get to exchange all those electrical pulse messages through breastfeeding and hormones and the DNA stuff. And then there's me, the servant that wipes his ass. So I have to work with what I have. I put on a heating lamp in the changing station to make it warm and cozy. We have the music of Little Prince playing from a dinosaur toy. I'm really trying to create an atmosphere. Sometimes I do a gentle massage before I change him, I sing around and all that. I want a 5 out of 5 star rating. But yes, I have seen a lot of poops, and this is what I get. This is my output. And I don't know if you know that, but you cannot really know how much a baby eats. It's one of the million stresses you get. A baby should eat up to 90 milliliters of milk every time, at least in this period. But how do you know if it had it? You don't. It's not like you put gas in your car and the poop will start having the numbers there. There is no milk meter on the breast that tells you how much you're getting out. So the only way to know if your baby, that tiny little fragile new human, the miracle of life that shares your DNA, the only way to know if he's feeding well is to check the shit. So you check the shit. You have to check the shit. How often, how much, how wet. Sorry for that's the deepest we go. I know it sounds disgusting, maybe, but when it's your baby, every poop feels like a blessing coming from the gods. And you are there, you get to experience it, you get to see it, you get to understand what might be the underlying mechanisms that brought this beautiful spectacle in front of your eyes. And as I've said before, it means the guts are working, the little stomach is working. It keeps stretching, by the way. The stomach starts being like a tiny piece of a grape, and then it becomes bigger and bigger. And he keeps all the good stuff in there and then throws out all the rest. And I'm there for that. It's like the concept of a black box experiment. It's like a closed system. You have no idea what's happening inside. You only have the input and the output. So my girlfriend is part of the input, and I am very much involved in the output. This is my way that I can tell what's up. And I will not tell you how much I try to read into this, but let's just say if someone were to hack my phone right now, or if I tap on the wrong photo by accident, some people could get a shock with what's lying in my photos, but my brain needs to stay entertained. I need to understand what could be happening. And now I get why in ancient times they would try to tell the future by bones from animals. They would just throw them around. If you see something every day in front of you, just try to read it. I think this is how it goes, and this is how it goes for me. And this is all the segment about the poop. Thank you very much. Another topic, because you're getting now on this journey with me, is strollers. Strollers are fun. We had to go out with a stroller for the first time, which is lovely. But in this age with babies, everything is a time window. I don't know what hour of the day it is. We only know feedings. From one feeding to the next feeding, this is the way we're measuring time. There's going to be a specific sequence of things. So there's feeding, and then he's going to start spitting it up. That's like a basic defect of nature. I'm like, hey, it's like he's doing two jobs now. He needs to eat and poop. Why does he spit it up? Very big defect. I hope they fix it in some version. Then you have the burping, and then the baby starts looking like an old, creepy, drunk man, slowly closing the eyelids and licking around its mouth. This is the stage where it's in the nirvana of the milk paradise. That doesn't last long. After that, there will be gas. Gas is important, and gas goes everywhere. And if you don't help it come, it will torture the baby. The poor baby really gets tortured by gas, but thanks to Instagram, I now have the magic combos of the moves of striking the belly and moving the legs around to bring those farts down. It takes them 6 to 7 weeks to learn how to do that on their own. The babies don't even know how to fart. So I have to navigate those farts out, the things we do for this baby. So if you do these things right, after the feeding, you do the burping, you bring some of the gas down, then a golden window appears. The golden window is that of active time, where the baby is not too sleepy, not too tired, not too hungry. It can just exist. Now, this is a new thing. This is a very nice time because for once, you think that they don't need anything from you. You'd be wrong because that window is actually the time to socialize with them, show them around, show them a book, carry them in the house. The duty never stops. You can tell them about the flowers and about the bees and about Trump and Elon Musk trying to dismantle Europe. I like to carry him around sometimes and make him smell things. Smelling things like a basil leaf or an apple or an orange. He looks fascinated. And after that, after the golden window, comes the grumpiness, the fuzziness. It could be tiredness, it could be a diaper change, it could be hunger, it could be the state of geopolitics in the world. You don't know what's wrong, but something is. And then is the time to try and get it to sleep. And this is where a lot of the hacks come in. A white noise machine going and wrapping them around so they feel more safe, doing all the shushing, all the Mongolian throat singing. And at some point, you can feel that they are getting there. And when you feel that they've started this downward hill that will end in sleeping, that's when you can wrap them around and put them in the crib. And then one of two things will happen. They will either fall asleep or wake up. And this reminds me of playing Pokemon. When you had to catch a Pokemon and put it into the Pokeball, for those who don't know, you had to try different attacks, get the wild Pokemon more tired, more weak, and when its energy is low enough, then you throw the Pokeball, it blinks, and then it either keeps it in the Pokeball or it escapes. So this is exactly how I feel about putting the babe to sleep. You just throw the Pokeball, and if you haven't done the prep work, it won't work. But if you have, then it will. We're almost done with the baby. You're part of this world now because why not? One day you might revisit this episode. But the last thing is that everything sounds so simple when you're on the outside. We went out with the baby. We went out with the stroller. That's like a huge project. How many clothes do you put on? How many layers do you put on? How do you put it in a sack? How do you get the stroller down the stairs of a 2-floor building? And we were counting the layers. Is it too warm? Is it too hot? The moment we were out, when we would see another stroller, we would start spying on the other babies to see what they are wearing so we can compare. And there's also a weird aggression I'm exploring. I get angry at people when I am outside with the baby because I have this overly protective instinct. I get angry at people for walking and smoking, just minding their own business, not making room, or I don't know, there's some sort of an existential thing shouting in my head. This is the most precious thing I have in the world. How dare you have this cigarette walking, minding your own business, and some of that smoke might end up in my little baby's nose because I'm passing by you. And it's such a strong feeling, such a weird world to be in, because before that, I didn't care about babies. People with babies, they walk around, they go places, they buy things. I don't. I don't care about them. They don't care about me. But now I'm this overly protective, ready to snap wolf that's carrying my little precious darling. But okay, this has been the baby segment of the week. Thank you very much. And let's jump into the next topic. Before I jump, I have decided to start also having a video version of this podcast. I've said it a few times, but now it's true. I try to make an Instagram reel on my Instagram because I always shoot video. I just never upload it. It's a thing I do on my own. Maybe when I die and the historians of the future, I want them to be able to see the video versions of this, but I never put it up. And I had a segment for a reel about the plastic spoon we carry in our head with the 7 grams of plastic that we have in the previous episode. It got some traction, but I realized that the microphone I use is right in front of my face. It's hiding half of my face. And I also got some comments that I never look at the camera, which makes sense because I don't consider making videos. But now I will give it a change. I have ordered, or my partner is gifting me actually, an arm so I can put the microphone in front, on top of the screen, on the side, like a proper vlogcaster, whatever. So I don't have to move it all the time in front of me and move the keyboard away and hide half of my face. I'll have it hang at the top, and this will be a good time to try doing some video so I can look in the camera. If you are curious to see that face, those will be coming up on YouTube in 1 or 2 episodes from now. This is the segment about the microphone. Let's go back into the topic. Now, the topic, and now we're starting to get a little bit more dark. Remember the asteroid I was telling you last week? Since then, it has made it everywhere in the news because the chances of that asteroid colliding with Earth keep rising. Yeah, it's now a 2.3% chance, which in the world of asteroid collisions is not insignificant. So what's happening now? I don't think that the asteroid will help us save ourselves from the existential crisis by putting an end to it. But we are turning the Webb telescope, the huge telescope that's bringing all the beautiful photos of space, to have a look at this asteroid. We're putting our best tool on the job. So it will analyze the interior and understand a bit more the consistency of what it has, and that will help in some ways. That made me wonder, the James Webb telescope, that beautiful miracle of engineering and planning and funding, took 30 years for this NASA project to be out there and billions of dollars. I wonder if it could fly today with Elon Musk coming in. And right now he's coming into NASA as well. I don't think there is a federal agency he hasn't been involved in, but why not? Trump is too bored to be doing the actual job every day. And I don't see any problem with him being an active contractor by the agency, having contracts of hundreds of millions. In general, there have been some charts showing all the ties Elon Musk has with federal agencies. In some parts, he is a company contractor. In others, there are parts of the government regulating the market, whether it's the brain implants he is putting or digging the tunnels. There are active lawsuits from federal parts of the government and ministries to his companies and active investigations. And now he is able to just remove the people and defund the services that might be responsible for investigating and regulating his companies. It was very funny how Trump said, I don't get why Musk does this whole government thing. He has nothing to gain. And that could not be further away from the truth. They're also removing reporters from press briefings because they don't like how they report. The Associated Press doesn't want to call the Gulf of Mexico Gulf of America. And by the way, I just looked at my phone to see the Google in the US has renamed the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, but what happens in my Google Maps? And it's called the Gulf of Mexico, and as you start zooming in, the name disappears. Then there is no name. Once they figure out, you're actually going to see what the name is. And if you drop pin point in the map, so then it has to tell you in what location it is. It says on my phone, Gulf of Mexico, parenthesis, Gulf of America. So this is how it's slowly coming to be. But yeah, they do all that, and then they come over to Europe and talk to us that they're worrying about the freedom of speech here. I don't know if you missed that, but basically, after Trump proposed an ethnic cleansing of Palestinians to remove them from their land and then make it real estate with his amazing real estate deals, after that, he decided to blow off the negotiations between Ukraine and Russia and the EU and just called Putin himself, or Putin called him. And he started negotiating without anyone on the table, because why should you? He gave up all the positions around EU and NATO, the partnership. So yeah, blowing it all up, EU not even at the table. And then the EU is making a quick conference to address this. The US sends the vice president there. And then the vice president, instead of talking about the topic of security in the region and NATO, he starts slamming some accusations that the EU needs more freedom of speech, which is the narrative that they're bringing with Make Europe Great Again. The guy who shuts down news reporters from the White House, who removes funding from all underrepresented groups, who shuts down human rights organizations, is coming to the EU leaders to tell that there is a problem with democracy here. The funny thing is that the EU leaders are generally in shock. I think that they did not expect the US to be acting so wildly. Everyone thought that they can't just be so childish, but the thing is, they are doing exactly what they said they would. It's just that no one believed them. Project 2025 was published earlier in the year and was describing exactly what will be the things that Trump government will do. It was covered in a John Oliver episode, and I covered a little bit of it in November in episode 34, but dismantling the federal government and bringing all that chaos, divide and conquer They said, the ancient Romans, the divide is surely going pretty well. It is worrying news. The German Minister of Defense said that it feels like America came to Europe looking for a fight. They are pushing the extreme right parties all around Europe. And the general problem that Europe's division and the lack of speed in decision making, the lack of unity, because it needs 25 members to always agree before making a call, will sadly cost more and more in this new era. Europe is not part of the table discussions and will need to be. It seems that EU will have to pay a lot of the bill, and US and Russia will get all the resources, minerals, and rights from post war Ukraine. Don't even talk about undermining Europe and NATO and all of that. I feel we live a quiet life day to day until 5 p.m. European time. This is the time where Trump wakes up in America. And after that, the world starts dancing in the rhythm of paranoia and we try to keep sane. I was saying this, it's a reel. I'm sorry, I'm watching a lot of reels that was saying if you are having this feeling that the world is not going well, while we keep our everyday lives the same, it has a name. It's called hypernormalization. It's when everyone knows the system is failing, but they don't know what to do, so they keep on going in a pretense of a functional society. If you have an airy feeling, it could be from the disconnect between what is happening and what the institutions of power are pretending that everything is going to go in the previous path. And this discomfort from what we know to be true, what we see is this airy feeling. It's not exactly like when the Titanic was sinking and the band was still playing music. I'm not saying it's that bad, but let's not kid ourselves. I think that the next few years we'll see rapid changes one way or another. My hope is that Trump and Musk have a fight because they are both so narcissistic that it's a matter of time. I don't think I give it more than 6 months that they start fighting. And then by then, hopefully, Europe realizes the need to be more united, have more of a stance, and not rely so much on the other allies, but try to find a way to play a central role. We also, citizens, feel a little bit more backed. It's nice someone having your back. Right now, it's very unclear who has our back. And I will end this with this funny ending. In ancient Rome, when the working class citizens would be very frustrated with the ones who rule them, you know what they would do every now and then? They would abandon entire cities in an act of protest. This was called the succession of the plebeians, of the plebs. They would leave the elites to rule over themselves. It's just everyone leaves. So they would do that in protest. They would withdraw from the city of Rome to the nearby hills and leave the patricians without a workforce and without military support. It was a strategic move to force the ruling class to address their grievances, which often included high debt, lack of political representation, and unfair treatment. So those were crucial moments in Roman history because they led to significant political changes. I don't know if that's possible, if we can all just make it for the hills and just stay there until the people realize that without the working class, without the people, nothing works and nothing functions. So it would be nice if every now and then we are also considered. But I don't know if we can go to the hills. I think capitalism has given us too many items that we own now. We cannot move so easily because we need to carry all of the things that we have, all those belongings. This reminded me of George Carlin, that great Persian comedian, writer. I don't know if you call him a philosopher, but he had a lot of takes on life besides his comedy. There is a great book from him called Brain Drops. It's some of his thoughts, not in a comical sense, but more in a critique, insightful, humorous critique. And yeah, he has a routine called stuff. He says we have too much stuff. And that is the problem, that our lives revolve around accumulating possessions. I remember him saying that's all your house is, the place to keep your stuff. If you didn't have so much stuff, would you need it? It's a delicate balance, working to get enough things, but it needs to be so everyone has just enough things to keep working and not starting getting violent and trying to take other people's things. But with these thoughts, I will tell you that I healed myself by ordering a new graphics card. I'm very excited to upgrade my computer. I ordered this new arm to bring the microphone in, so now I can show the entirety of my face. I have 3+ months of parental leave. Perhaps I'll give it a go making Instagram reels. If I get famous enough, maybe this will be my next career, just complaining on the internet about things. Maybe someone wants to sponsor it. Complaining is the best thing you can do. It's the national sport of Greeks. And I do think that healthy complaining is what keeps things getting better. If no one complains about it, then it's not going to change, right? And with this thought, I thank you for listening to this episode. I wish you all the best for everyone, ourselves, and the world. Keep spreading some love. Go touch some grass. Go smell some fresh air. Go give a hug to someone that lasts more than 3 seconds so the oxytocin starts flowing and heals you and them and the world. Until next week, ciao.